Have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things? You're reading your Bible, you're working hard, you're showing up for your family, but still feel out of sync? Like something in your life just isn't lining up? If so, this episode is for you. Today, Juan and I are diving into the 7 dimensions of wellness, a biblical framework God placed in my heart to help women align every area of their life. We'll break down what the 7 dimensions are, why they matter, and how they can help you stop living in survival mode and start living in alignment with God's design for your life. Alright, so of course I have to do my usual introduction. I'm here today with my amazing husband, Juan and I. Hey babe.
What's up?
So we actually tried to record 2 episodes already. We tried to do one together about High Road Leadership by John Maxwell. I did a mastermind on it, and the book was so good, I was like, let me do an episode like I usually do with the books I read. For some reason, it just wasn't flowing. And then I said, hey, let me ask one of the girls that were in the mastermind to come do it with me. Maybe that'll be better. We tried it, but the baby just said no. If I'm not the star of the show, y'all aren't doing anything. So I'm going to actually have to re-record that one. So we're here today, and we're like, what can we talk about? And we thought, I've been talking about the 7 dimensions. But when I talk to people one-on-one, they usually ask me, like, I don't really understand what it is, or how can that actually help me? So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, so what is the 7 dimensions?
So if you don't already know, you're a multi-dimensional human being. You're not just this person and that's it. And I know a lot of people who don't believe in the spiritual, they'll be like, it's just what you can see, that's what it is. That's actually not what the Bible tells us. So the Bible actually breaks us into 3 dimensions. It says you are body, spirit, and soul, which is the Trinity. We have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and we're made in His image, which is why we are also 3. So those are the 3 main ones. But then if you want to break it down even more, we can add financial, we can add vocational, we can add environmental, and we can add spiritual. So the body, obviously, is represented by the physical dimension. The spirit is represented by the emotional dimension, and the soul is represented by the mental dimension. So like I said, those are the main 3 ones. And they're all intertwined. So let's say that there's something wrong with your physical dimension, you're going to feel it in all the other dimensions. Something is wrong with your financial dimension, you're going to feel it in all the other ones. So I don't know if you have an example that we can use.
I forgot what the dude's name was, but I was watching an Ed Mylett podcast, and the guy was like, you have to take such good care of your health. And he's a multi-millionaire, probably billion, I don't know his whole background, but he's like, health is so important, and a lot of people don't think of that. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna like make money, or I'm gonna be in good shape. He's like, well, your health matters. So he gives this example. He's like, all right, imagine this. Imagine you're on a beach, you're getting fed grapes and fanned by some beautiful women. He's like, but you have a sore throat. Mm-hmm. You don't care about anything around you, except I want to get rid of that sore throat because it's making me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's how entwined everything is. Like, your mind's thrown off. He's not going to be worried about the business at the moment because he's like, oh, my sore throat. Like, that's all he's trying to get rid of. Mm-hmm. So just how if one of them being off throws the rest of them off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel a lot of people don't understand that. So they'll think, oh, it's just the physical. I have to just treat the physical and then ignore the other 6. Well, no. Before you go treat the physical, make sure the other 6 are okay. Because a lot of people will go to the doctor and be like, just give me medicine. And sometimes the doctor won't even ask you, well, how's your diet? Are you exercising? What's going on in your personal life? Are you stressed out? They won't ask. A lot of doctors won't even ask you that. They'll just be like, oh, I can make some monies. Here you go. Some medicine. Take it. We'll put a Band-Aid on the problem. We won't find the root cause. We won't actually fix the problem because it's better for us, more lucrative for us to just put a Band-Aid on your problem.
Yeah. I always, just like high level, I always was like, if I can't sleep, it's because I didn't earn my sleep, which means something's off. Mm-hmm. I didn't have enough physical outlet throughout the day. I wasn't taxed enough emotionally, their connection wasn't there or something. And I'm sure we've all been through it where you just feel restless at night, or you're just like, oh, like I can't sleep, and your mind starts racing. You're like, well, I should be tired. Did I not do enough physically? But physically I feel tired because the body needs sleep, but the mind wasn't used enough. Maybe it was overused and you didn't have an emotional connection throughout the day or whatever it may be. That's how I've always just like high level understood it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even know that it was just like, earn your sleep. That was just what I always thought.
Yeah, I like that. So, make an inventory. Do you call it take an inventory?
Either way.
So yeah, so taking inventory is so important. Somebody who is struggling with anxiety asked me, they were like, how can the 7 dimensions help me? And I'm like, well, take inventory. First of all, your physical, let's go there first. How are you eating? Are you eating a lot of processed food, or are you eating nutritious foods? Are you exercising? Are you getting sunlight? Are you taking a rest day out of the week? And by rest day, I mean no work, no scrolling on social media, just literally letting your mind and your physical rest, and connecting with God. Also, caffeine. Caffeine is a huge one. In one of my lectures, they were talking about how this person was suffering from depression. Turns out they were drinking, I don't know how many pots of coffee a day.
I think like they said like 6 pots of coffee.
Yeah, something ridiculous. Yeah. And nobody had asked him, how much caffeine are you taking? So take inventory of your physical. Where are you physically? Because that's going to affect if you have anxiety, if you have depression. Like we said, it's all connected. Your mental. Or let's stay on the physical for a little bit.
Yeah. Everybody talks about the dopamine or runner's high when people who run. Y'all are your own people if y'all go out running and for the runner's high. But no, it's like you feel this state of accomplishment, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the dopamine you get. It's like I pushed my threshold. I worked out. I feel better. It might suck in the what is happening, but you feel better because that's what we were designed to do. Like we need physical outlets. If my job is right now being on the board. I'm sitting there for 12 hours staring at a screen, and there's times when it's high stress and things like that. But then 12 hours, then the drive, and then coming home. If I don't get a physical outlet, like if I don't work out or we don't even going for a walk, makes a huge difference for both of us.
Yeah.
So that could be one thing, right? Like you're not moving your body. Your body was made to move. It needs to move, and that'll help everything else. Mm-hmm. Like we'll take him for example. Mm-hmm. If he's just restrained, our little boy's right here. If he's just restrained, he's like, he gets pent up. But when he can move, he's happy. Mm-hmm. Like a baby shows you that. They show their emotions so quick and easily. We're the same way. Mm-hmm. We're just bigger versions of them.
I like that. Yeah, and a lot of people who work at offices, they sit there all day. They wake up, first thing they do, look at their phone, drive to work.
He said, don't do that.
Yeah. Sit in front of a computer all day, come home, sit and watch Netflix. Like, there's no movement, no outlet. So, yes, it's going to affect your mental health. That's going to affect your emotional health. I thought you were going to say something.
I was going to say, get some sun.
Yeah, that's very important. Yeah. Also, you mentioned accomplishments. So, significance. The human was designed with a purpose. So, whenever you feel like you don't matter, like what you do doesn't matter, or like you don't have a purpose or significance, that will also lead people to fall into depression. But we'll talk a little bit more on the vocational with that. When it comes to mental health, do you know that you are not your thoughts? Do you know that you can take your thoughts captive? That you can choose which thoughts you listen to? The fact that you have bad thoughts pop up doesn't make you a bad person. You have the option to listen to those thoughts or not and replace them with other thoughts. What else do you have to say for the mental?
Yeah, I mean, the devil, that's what he does, right? He puts thoughts in your heads. He tried to do it with Jesus. He tempts you. He puts things in front of you. He tries to find your weakness, the chink in the armor, and expose it is what he tries to do. So if you're mentally there to where you allow yourself to fall into those things, whether it be through social media, because social media can be a great tool or it can be a great weapon used against you. And
double-edged sword.
Yeah, a double-edged sword. And yeah, just being mentally right, and like loving yourself, it kind of goes back to physical. If you're not happy with the way you look, it's harder to love yourself. So that can help there. They start, I mean, they're so intertwined, right? And giving yourself grace too. Like mentally you can get stressed out by comparison or by the dream, by what you're daydreaming. Daydreaming is amazing because it makes you strive for something. But if you get so caught up on the there and you're not paying attention to where you are now and doing the things now, understanding that everybody says it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. However your race looks, we'll call it the race of life. However it looks, understand that you're working there. Even if it's 2 steps forward, 1 steps back, over and over again, you're still making progress that way. And just reflecting on those, taking some time to give yourself grace, understanding that life happens, curveballs happens, and you're working towards something, then you're like, hey, like, I used to be here, now I'm here. Like, how much better would you feel if you just sit the time and think about it versus just like, oh, I want to be here, I want to be here. But it doesn't always just go that way. Yeah. Sometimes everything falls into place and it's amazing. Sometimes it's a struggle. So I think giving yourself grace.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was also thinking, as you're saying, that mental is also, intellectual is also part of the mental. And how we talked about significance and accomplishments. Are you developing new skills? Are you learning new things? That also matters. Are you reading the Bible? I heard this analogy. I think I've already said it before, but I thought it was so good. That when you read the Bible every day, even if you don't understand what you're reading, you're getting the benefits. And they use the example of a banana. When you eat the banana, you don't see the potassium. You don't know that you're getting the potassium. But by eating it, you're getting the potassium or the nutrients. And the Bible's the same way. So make sure that you're spending time in God's Word, and it's going to feed your spirit. Super important. Talking about spirit. Wait, before we move on to emotional, do you have anything else on mental?
No, I was going to say that was pretty good about the potassium.
Oh, yeah, I thought so too.
I was say it's vice versa too. Like if you're eating something bad, you may not see it right then and there, but how much sugar is in what you're eating, like, how much processed food is in there. So again,
and
a double-edged sword.
what are you consuming, not only food-wise, but what are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you taking advice from? All those things. The lyrics and the music are so important because it's repetition. So you're programming your brain a certain way. So if you're listening to trash lyrics and you have that on repeat, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. One last thing about how you said about what you're viewing. We've said it in another. I've mentioned it in another podcast before, and I don't know if women relate to this, but if you're a guy or you have a guy and you want them to understand what you're saying. It's like when a guy watches an action movie, we get excited, right? Like you get excited if you watch a racing movie. Maybe not so much now that I'm older, but like when I was younger, Fast and the Furious just came out when they used to not be so crazy.
And then
everybody races afterwards, right? Because you get so excited about it. Like it affects you. It has a big influence on you, whether you realize it or not. Because you're like, oh, they were. I'm not going to say that people think they're Vin Diesel or something, but they were all racing. So you get out, you have a little bit of adrenaline going, and you're excited. They're hanging out with the guys, and they go out there and they race because they were influenced by 3 hours of movie. Well, if you're on your phone all day, how many more hours are you influenced by? What else are you being influenced by?
That's so good. And that also makes me think that some people are like, oh, no, it doesn't affect me. I don't let it. That's like saying I'm going to eat processed food all day long and I'm not going to let it affect my health. You can't control that. What you consume controls, like you don't have control what it does to you to a certain point, right? So we're not called to, resist temptation. Like, yes, to a certain point. But that doesn't mean like stay there and constantly watch the same thing and think it's not going to affect you. It means remove yourself from the situation, whatever it is. So if you're listening, like I said, to trash lyrics, listening to podcasts that aren't, teaching anything good, you're watching movies that, I don't know, I feel like movies show us, at least growing up, movies and shows, it would kind of set the norm. Like, oh, I saw it in a movie or I saw it in a show. Like, that's normal.
Yeah, it's so true.
When in reality, it's not. It's, I'll talk about Holly weird.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. They're out. They hate you. Well, that's what it is. They're going to make movies to mess you up. And you might be like, oh, what a conspiracy theorist. But no, it's actually true.
He's riled up about it.
You tell him, baby.
I was going to say, last thing on it is, there's so many things, right, about, like, you wouldn't let your kid watch something because it influences them. Whether some people, at their baby stage or not, like, as they get older, they're like, oh, I don't let them watch scary movies at night because they have bad dreams. But you let yourself watch whatever. It's the same thing, right? Again, we're just bigger versions of them.
Yeah, and even with scary movies, I always tell people, be careful because you're opening the doors to the spiritual realm, and you just don't know what you're letting in. So I personally do not watch scary movies. So So emotional. Let's go into the emotional health. So that's what I say the spirit is. So your heart. That's where the emotional dimension comes in. So how are you with your emotions? Are you someone who can sit there and acknowledge this is what I'm feeling, and then be able to communicate it? Or are you someone who suppresses their emotions? And let's say maybe you're someone who hates conflict. So you just suppress your emotions and you bottle everything up and then you explode out of nowhere. That's not healthy either. You need to be able to be comfortable with confrontation, obviously in a healthy way. You're not going to just go around starting fights with people, but there's a way that you can communicate and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And that way you're not bottling things up and turning into a doormat, and then you're letting it out somewhere else where you shouldn't.
Yeah, I think that's good because it also helps you create boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I use, my family and everybody around me knows very well my boundaries with my family. You and him come first before any and everything else besides God.
Mm.
I don't think there's a single person in our family that doesn't know that.
Mm.
And it's not, I've never been like, oh, they're first, this and that. No, it's just by my actions and stuff like that. Like, people know.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps you create that. And when you can create those things in a positive way, then everybody, like, things become easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things, people know that they're like, oh, or, like, everybody knows that we don't go out and do certain things or hang out in certain places, so they don't even invite us to that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, we created those boundaries by how we are and how we present ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we were able to say no a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just like, oh, we don't do that. Mm-hmm. Or no, that's not we're not in that, that season of life is over for us. We've changed. We're following God. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that'll help you a lot in life and work and wherever.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to say too, but I forgot.
No, I like that. Yeah, and yeah, boundaries are so important. And that's definitely a part of the emotional dimension, because a lot of people are scared to offend people because people don't want to be rejected. They don't want to be isolated, right? So they're scared that, oh no, what if I make them feel a certain way or think their feelings hurt. I don't want to do that because now I'm going to be isolated or rejected by them. You know what? Sometimes that's the best thing that can happen to you. Just saying. Not everyone is to be in your life if they're not adding to it. Another thing with emotions, I did the Jenny Allen Untangle Your Emotions Bible study, and I feel like it really helped me because I learned that there is no negative emotion. Fear is not a negative emotion. Anger is not a negative emotion. So the main ones are happy, sad, fear, and what did I say? Anger. Those are the main four.
Yeah.
And none of them are bad. So they're each trying to tell you something. So I say that joy, that's a gift from the Holy Spirit. It's one of the fruits, right? And then sadness, fear, and anger, they're trying to tell you something. So if you're angry, maybe it's because you need to stand up for yourself. Obviously, the Bible says, be slow to anger and also do not sin in your anger. So you have to be careful with it. But it's not a bad thing that you're angry. You're not sinning by being angry. It means you need to stand up and do something or say something.
Jesus was angry when they were in the temple.
Mm-hmm.
I guess exploiting people would be the correct word.
Yeah. When it comes to fear will usually draw you closer to people and to God. And then sadness will also, do the same. And that in God, what does God tell us to do? Love God and love people. So sometimes, I don't want to say things happen just so you can be closer to God and people, but
He uses everything for His glory.
Exactly.
Also, like, fear is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's telling you it keeps you alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's another thing, right?
Yeah.
That's the way our chemistry makeup is: the fight, flight, or freeze.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps you alive. Anger. A lot of times when people are upset about something, or if somebody like that, I forgot what study we did, but it's because if this type of person bugs you because they're so loud and like that, it's because you want to, like, you don't do that. So it bugs you, like, why are they so loud? Why are they so like this? If you're a quiet person, or if somebody's quiet, you notice the loud person always says, "Why are you so quiet?"
Mm-hmm.
Because either they want to do that or they don't get to do that. They don't feel like they can do that. So then that's why they're always like, "Oh, why are you so quiet? You're always so quiet." But you never hear the quiet person say, "Why are you so loud?" until they've had enough.
Mm-hmm.
They're upset about it, and it's because they weren't there was a moment in their life they didn't get to speak up, or they felt like they couldn't speak up.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling that type of way, hey, it could be because you needed to speak up and you didn't, and then that goes back to the boundaries, right? If you had your boundaries, you probably wouldn't have had to speak up.
Yeah. Or, you had to speak up and
Yeah.
set the boundary.
Well, I'm saying if you set the boundary already with the people, then they're like, hey.
But you know what? I really like what you said, because I also heard that you don't need to speak about boundaries. You need to act. And
He said, yeah. That's right.
yes, I saw a TikTok and I thought it was so good. And they were explaining boundaries. And they were like, when you get in an elevator with a child and you tell the child don't touch the buttons, and the child goes and touches all the buttons, you didn't set the boundary. But when you get in there and you stand in front of the buttons and the child's not able to touch the buttons, now you set the boundary.
Oh, you're going to say you smack their hand.
No.
So you remember what happened last time? 2 ways of setting the boundaries.
But it was like, it's a physical boundary, you
Yeah.
know, so something to keep in mind. I heard Dr. Deloney talk about anxiety, and he said anxiety is usually telling your body that something needs to be addressed. So maybe it's even from your childhood, something happened in your childhood, and now your body's reacting a certain way where you're in a certain situation because of what happened in your past. Your future self, or your present self, might know that you're not, logically, you're like, I'm not in danger, but that's going to pop up because your inner self that hasn't healed yet doesn't know that. So maybe you need to work on childhood trauma, something from your childhood. I know a lot of people go straight to drugs, medication, and I always tell people, please just take the time to go through the 7 dimensions before you jump on medication. And I mean, go deep. A lot of people would rather go on medication than go to counseling because they're like, oh, I'm not mentally ill. Okay, but you can't sit here and talk to a person about what's going on, but you feel like you need to be medicated. You know, it just, and I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying it makes more sense for you to try to go this route first before you just jump on medication, because a lot of people end up getting addicted to it. And from what I've learned from my lessons, most people don't need medication. It's a very, very small percentage. Yet there's a huge percentage of people out there on medication right now. Most of them don't actually need it. So make sure that whoever you're going to, they're actually digging deep with you first before they prescribe you or anything, or tell you that you need to be put on medication.
Yeah, I think a lot of time people feel like that anxiety or something because they're longing for something, or they don't have a connection, and they may be okay with where they're at, like vocational or whatever it may be, but it could just be, which is the most important thing, that they don't have their relationship with God, so it feels like there's something missing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was times when I was younger and my relationship with God wasn't right, and I had a decent job, I was making decent money, I didn't have really anything to worry about, bills were paid, everybody was happy, like healthy, but there was something missing. And it was God. I didn't have a relationship good enough with him. He's always been in my life, but I strayed away, and I sleep like a baby right now. Even with the baby. Another thing, you were saying, you said something and I wanted to touch on it. Man, this guy's so cute. I get distracted. It'll come back to me if it's meant for me to share it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So how we were how you were saying, like, you need to heal something. So I'll make it personal. Because we've done therapy individually, we've done it together for couples therapy and everything. And even before getting him, you did therapy for you too, bud. And one of the things that I had so much loss and separation as a child, that's what, your inner child comes out, how you were saying, like, your inner stuff. The inner child part is, like, anytime we had, like, these bigger arguments, I didn't ever, like, panic and be like, oh my God, it's over. But the inner child would start creeping in my head and being like, well, hey, this probably is it. Like, from something that shouldn't have been it, but that was the inner child thing that I had to go through. And I could have been anxious from it. I could have, just turned to that inner child and we wouldn't be here today. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't be here today. Mm-hmm. But because we did the work, we dug deep into it. Mm-hmm. Was able to heal it. We can have deeper discussions now. We can not see eye to eye and discuss it and talk about it. I mean, instead of me feeling like, hey, like, I don't want to argue because this is it. And I don't think it was ever like, I don't want to paint it like I was a pushover or just didn't argue with anything, because I always said what I felt I needed to say. But there was always this thought in the back of my mind. And going through therapy and working with Rob and all that, he was able to show that to me. And he's like, hey, that's something you need to work on, because it's going to affect your relationships throughout your whole life. He's like, everywhere it'll affect it. And that's something that, you know, maybe they do need to do some therapy before they do that, because it wasn't, nothing else really triggered it. Like, with, you know, friendships coming in and out of life, that didn't affect it, but when our relationship, it brought it out. So that's something, medicine wasn't going to fix that. It may suppress that, and I might start becoming numb, and then I just wouldn't care about the discussions we have, and that's not going to lead to anything good either.
Yeah. Oh, that's so important. Yeah, I'm so glad you touched on that. So that comes from abandonment, right? So someone who is maybe listening and they're like, oh no, I don't need counseling because I'm not mentally ill. If one of your parents left, if there was a divorce, then you might have abandonment issues. That doesn't mean you're mentally ill. Counseling is just, and the Bible says, surround yourself with many counselors. So I just want to really like hit that, because there's that stigma. Like, I'd rather medicate than go to counseling because I'm not mentally ill. It's like, because I've been through counseling, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and then another thing, it's not weakness either, because before, nobody, a lot of people don't even know that I did therapy. I'm not afraid to say it or anything like that. It's just, if you ask a lot of people, they're like, he was one of the strongest minded people we know. I was captain of the football team because of that, because like I would lead at the front all the time. I've always been a leader, like you always say, but there was still that in me, so it doesn't make you any less. I didn't feel any less from it or anything. Are you upset about that? Okay.
Do we need to take a break?
No, I got him.
Okay.
I'm going to take a quick break.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not easy to see. You're the only one who knows it, and you have to be real about it.
Oh, that's a big one, yeah. Being honest about it. Because most people won't be honest about it. They'll try to suppress it even from themselves and tell themselves that they're okay when in reality they're not. And since you shared yours, I'll share mine too. I had abandonment in my childhood as well. Not so much like my actual blood. Well, I mean, my dad passed away, so there's that. And then stepfather left. But my reaction was different than Juan's. Mine was avoidant. So his was,
Mine was the fear of being abandoned even more.
Yeah, and mine was avoiding. So if I avoid, so I'm going to beat you to it. Like, you're not going to leave me. Like, I'm going to leave, or I'm going to put up walls kind of thing, and then I won't get hurt. So obviously that's not healthy. And again, Rob helped us see that he helped me see that I was doing that. And I hadn't, like, I knew I did that, but I hadn't, like, sat down with it and realized what a problem it was, and that I had to let those walls down. And stop running, basically, because I was scared of commitment for the longest time.
Yeah, and two people who are opposite of the spectrum, right? Like, you were avoidance, and my thing was, like, in the same way it was avoidance. It's like, this is it. Well, it's gone. You know, it's going to leave like everybody else. And it never came off to me that way. So, like I said, it's not right. But two opposite things. If we would never work together, like, did therapy on our own and then together, it would never work. Like, for sure, something would have happened in the road, and we would have just, you would have ran away and said, I'm getting away before he does. And I would have been like, well, she's getting away, so let me get away too.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people, their relationships fail because they don't understand their attachment style. It's bugging me right now that I can't remember, because I know it's secure attachment, avoidant, and the other one I don't remember.
I don't know.
But, yeah, we explain what it is. So someone with a secure attachment is someone who, grew up in a healthy environment or has done the work to heal. So we were talking about how that affects your relationships. So that's part of the emotional as well, how you connect with people. I feel like there was something else I wanted to touch on, but I don't remember. Do you have anything else on prayer? So
yeah.
A lot of people will tell you meditation. Since we jumped to the spiritual, because you were talking about God and how if you feel like you're missing something, it's probably God that you feel like you're missing. That's so good, because so now we're in the spiritual dimension. I was listening to one of my lectures before we did the podcast, and it was on sexual addiction. And one of the things that the professor mentioned was, it's a saying, and I just heard it, so I'm not going to say it right, but something along the lines like, the man who rings the door at the brothel is actually seeking for God. Like, is actually looking for God. So people will find addictions, other things to fill that void, when in reality it's God that they're looking for, it's God that they're needing. God does say, I am the vine, you are the branches, outside of me you are nothing. So we literally can't operate in a healthy way without him. If we decide to live a life without him, we're choosing destruction, basically. When it comes to addiction, people with an addictive personality, is usually because there's a pain that they don't want to address. Going back to what you said about lying to ourselves and not being honest, a lot of people would be like, no, I'm fine, I don't have any trauma, I don't have anything that I need to work on or deal with. But again, yet they're on medication, or they have anxiety, or they, and again, we're not judging. This is just to say, like, stop and think about what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're saying. And just be honest with yourself. And yeah, so God,
Yeah.
we can't do anything without him. A lot of people say, oh, meditation helps. What actually helps is prayer and meditation in God's word, in the Bible. So it's not just like this random meditation that you get from some yoga person, not to talk bad about yoga people, but that's not what it is. It's actual. If it really wanted to work, it's prayer, talking to God, and meditating on his word.
And everything else, like, I mean, yoga, you're trying to.
It's a cheap copy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're trying to clear your mind and to connect to something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
What does that sound like?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do when you pray? You close your eyes and you bow your head and you talk to him, and you clear your mind by talking to him. Speak to him what's on your mind. Cast all your worries on him and let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that not sound like what you're trying to do? And except they do it meditating. They get a quiet environment. That's what you do. You get on your knees. You bow your head.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're alone or you don't even have to do that all the time. You're in the car, wherever you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You can do yoga while in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not yoga exactly, but you know what I mean? You can pray while in traffic. You don't have to go to somewhere where you just clear your mind to him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm also thinking about,
Bless you.
So how we're talking about God, prayer, meditate on his word. I was going somewhere with this. Dang it. What was it?
I don't know.
It's something you said that made me think of it.
I say a lot of things.
Oh, okay, so how I'm saying, like, counseling, like, it's so good for you. Make sure it's not secular counseling. We did secular counseling and it worked for us, but there's a lot of people out there who are secular counselors, and what they teach, I'm like, oh no, this is so bad. Most of the time, secular counseling or secular psychologists will tell you, you can do it. You got this. You, it's all on you. When in reality, that's not what God said. God said, you can't do it on your own. You need to come and you need to rely on me. And whenever you feel like you can't, that's where I step in. I'm the strongest in your weakness. So he never said, do it on your own. He says, you have me, and I've given you a helper even, which is the Holy Spirit. You don't have to do this on your own. You can't actually do this on your own. And if you're out there fighting, trying to do this on your own, just stop. Stop wasting your energy that way. When you can, I don't know. I don't want to sound preachy, but
Preach.
Just come to him. He's waiting for you. And he says, that he'll be there for you whenever you feel like you can't anymore. And that just reminded me of growing up. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard, I think it's like a poem about the footprints. And then it says, like, so it's like footprints on the sand. And then it says, when I was going, so it's the person's walking with God, so there's two sets of footprints. Mm-hmm. And it says, but during my darkest moments or my most difficult moments, there was only one set of footprints. And he says, it's because I was carrying you. Mm-hmm. So that's what it made me think of right now. And I grew up listening to that poem. I thought it was so good. But yeah, so whenever you go out seeking advice or help from someone, make sure that they're are using biblical principles. Because I honestly don't believe that anything out there works if you don't have God as the priority, as the center of everything. I used to think I had to hustle, perform, and look perfect to be successful, until an accident forced me to slow down. I couldn't work out, I couldn't show up online, and suddenly I had to face what was underneath it all. That season revealed something I'll never forget. I was building a life on the outside, but I was out of alignment on the inside. God used that pause to redirect me, from striving to serving, from vanity to value, and from burnout to true wellness. And now I help other women do the same. That's why I created the 7 Dimensions community, a Christ-centered community where you can finally align your spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, relational, financial, and vocational life with God's design. If you're tired of surface-level faith and scattered goals and you know God's calling you to something deeper, this is the space for you. Join the waitlist in the description box below and join a community of women who will keep you accountable. Okay, alright, so now we're going on to the vocational dimension. So, purpose. Do you have a purpose? Yes, you do. Everybody has a purpose. We're currently doing a Bible study, again, Jenny Allen. I need to have her on this podcast. Like, I've done all your Bible studies, but they're just so good. So this one is called Restless. You were made for more. So it talks about how sometimes our soul feels restless, and it's because we know that we were meant for more, and maybe we're not living in our purpose. And so she talks about how you need to get to know God first in order to know yourself, because obviously He created you, so you need to get to know who the Creator is. You have spiritual gifts. We've talked about this before. Holy Spirit decides who gets what gifts according to their ability. And then you have to use those gifts for God's glory and to help others. Those gifts are not meant for you to use for your own glory. So we are a part of the body of Christ. Some people are the eyes, some people are the mouth, some people are the hand. Whatever it is that you need to figure out what your gift is and get to work, because that's when the body functions properly. Imagine you have a hand and the hand's just like sitting there limp the whole time. Obviously, He wants you to get to work. I know a lot of people say, you don't get saved by works, you get saved by faith. Absolutely. So I'm not saying that that's going to get you to heaven. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying you have an assignment and you need to fulfill it. Talked about suffering. Sometimes if you don't know what your purpose is, think about what you went through that was hard, difficult, traumatizing, whatever it was. You healed from it, you learned from it, and now you can go back and help others who are struggling with the same thing because you've been there and you know what it's like. Places. She talks about, I didn't mean to go into the whole thing, but wherever you are, it doesn't matter. Don't wait to have a big following. Don't wait to be in a certain location. Don't wait to, whatever it is that you think you need to be, stop. Just wherever you are right now, that's where you need to start. And then she uses the example from Joseph from the Bible. He was sold into slavery, went to prison, and the whole time Joseph was using his gift of interpreting dreams. And then one day it got to the point to where he had to interpret the Pharaoh's dreams, and then he was put second in command of all of Egypt. And he was able to save basically everyone from dying during the famine. So it's just, I don't want to ramble, so I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
No, yeah, that was good, because a lot of times there's I'm not special. It's a step into that purpose. Joseph was just telling people what their dreams meant. And that may not seem, he wasn't this general who worked his way up through the chain of command and all this. He was just in the right place in the right time, and he stepped into his gifts, and they got him second in command of all of Egypt, and they gained so much through him because he trusted in God. No matter where he was at, when he was at the lowest, he trusted in God. When he was in a higher position, he trusted in God. Vocational, right?
Vocational.
I think also, if you're not in your purpose, or if it feels redundant or anything like that with your vocation that you're doing, I want to say it I don't think everybody is going to step into this position that when you hear stepping in your purpose, it's not always entrepreneurship, right? It's not always doing your own thing. Sometimes it's called entrepreneurship, And that's where you are just a really good employee. You do your whatever your time is, and then you go home and you're amazing at home because you're not worried about the business that you try to start because you felt like, oh, I have to start my own business to have purpose or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it gets painted that like you can only work in your or like be happy with work if you work for yourself. And I think a lot of people don't understand what the weight is of working for yourself, of never turning it off. It changes your communication. It changes communication between us when we would talk about car rides. We're all about for BC and when we're like all about that.
Mm-hmm.
It changes a lot. So not everybody's meant to do entrepreneurship. So don't get caught up with I can't do my purpose when I'm at work.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm working for somebody else, you can. And I also don't think that your 9 to 5 is always going to be your purpose. I think your purpose can be outside of work.
Mm-hmm.
But your work is what allows you to do your purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that too because it's so important to realize we have different personalities. So not, like I said, not the eye's not meant to do what the mouth does. The mouth is not meant to do what the leg does. So don't think that just because someone did something and they're successful in it, that you need to go and do that thing. No, that just means they're living in their purpose, and that's what they're meant to do. You need to find out what you're good at, what you were meant to do. And one thing you can do is you can take personality assessments. You can take, and obviously they're man-made, so don't take it as like, I'm in this box now and this is what it means. It's just take it as a suggestion and then ask people around you, like, does this sound like it? And one of the most important things is, okay, let's say you took a test online about your spiritual gift and they told you it's this. Does that align? Ask yourself and then put it to use. If it goes good, then that's probably your gift. If it doesn't go good, it's probably not your gift. But talking about different personalities, I do the DISC assessment, and there's 4 main personalities. You have the dominant, the influential, the conscientious, and the steady. And I think the dominant is like, it's a very low percentage, maybe like 3 or 8% of the population. And those are your natural born leaders. And if everybody's trying to lead, who's doing the work? Like the owner needs the employees, right? And it doesn't make you less than. It's just that's not what your role is. That's not what you were called to do. So understanding that and being okay with it. And if you were born to lead, don't be scared to step into that either. Ask God to help you. Like I said, God didn't ask you to do this on your own. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Yeah, I think just an easy way to think of that is like think of somebody who acts just like you, and if you bump heads with them, like you were saying, dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that I've taken says that I have that personality, and people tell me it too. But if I get in the same room with somebody else with it, we bump heads, and either them or me has to turn it off to be able to work together.
Mm-hmm.
Like at my job right now, there's a lot of people that are like that, and they have a higher position than me. Mm-hmm. So I'll turn it off at times, and then when it needs to, you turn it back on. So does that mean that both of us need to be like sit there and try to be the leader of this and that? It's like, no. If they have that already, cool. I lead in other ways, and with other people, and that's fine. Like, just because that's your personality trait and you see that, don't think you have to do that in every single place you're at either.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your gift is your compassion and the way you share and you can help people. But if you were to try to do that at every single coffee shop we went to, which we don't go to a lot of coffee shops, but if you did that like every place we were in, it would drain you. That would be a huge mental tax on you. You feel like you're trying to carry everybody's weight, and then who's carrying your weight? Who's you're draining yourself mentally. So find your purpose, like you're saying, and wherever it's at. That's what I said. It doesn't always have to be at your work. You find where it works, and you're allowed to do that, and you're allowed to help people or affect people in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think that's so important. I hadn't thought of that. Like, when do you use your gift?
Yeah. That's what
you don't have it turned on all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a huge type A personality. I really am. And I've mentioned it here all the time. Like I go into work mode and it's like trying to execute doing things, but I don't come at you that way. You
Yeah.
have like once you know it, you have to know it's a knob. You know when to turn it all the way up, and you know how to turn it down, dial it back, or turn it off completely.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll help you in a whole bunch of things at work. It'll help you in relationships, in communicating with people. I'll get them.
Okay.
That was my 2 cents.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you said. And then going into the financial. So you talked about how sometimes you don't need to, and like I said, you see how they're all connected? How we can just flow into the next one? Like you said, sometimes your job isn't necessarily like the purpose. Just like Joseph when he was in prison and he was second in command in prison. That job wasn't his purpose, but he showed up every day and did his best to where he was put a second in command and to where the opportunity for him to use his gift was given to him and he used it, and then that's how he ended up being second in command of the Pharaoh. So sometimes you're in a place and the place is not the purpose, but you're meant to be in that place so that you can fulfill that in a different way. We've talked about how some people like giving. Giving can be a gift. And I don't know if you're okay with me saying, but that's what came up on yours for the spiritual gifts. That's your main one, giving. You're a very generous person. Uh,
Don't be asking me for nothing, people.
yeah, that's why I was like, no, but I think it's okay. Sometimes you go to a job, you make a good amount of money, and you're able to give, and that's how you help God's ministry, right? So it's not always like what your job is not always like the purpose. But whatever it is, regardless of what it is, show up and do your best. And we talked about this on the last episode. Uh, so talking about financial, we did a podcast on finances. So just to recap real quick, some of the things that God says, it's not your money, it's his money. You're just stewarding it. So you're using it to build. Ooh, I heard someone say this the other day. I thought it was so good. He's not going to bless you for you to build your house. He's going to bless you for you to build his house.
Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure that whatever it is that you're doing with your money is building his house. We talked about tithing, how important that is, giving your 10% and the first fruits. Make it be the first thing that comes out of your account. Don't let it be an afterthought because, again, we want to make God a priority. We talked about an emergency fund. Proverbs 31 woman says she laughs at the future because she's prepared. So whatever is coming her way, she's like, it's fine. I got this. So you need an emergency fund for when things go south. The Bible says, do not be in debt. Dave Ramsey uses the one where it says, run like a gazelle.
Yeah.
So if you're in debt, get yourself out of there
Gazelle
fast.
mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I like what yesterday you were listening to it, and it says when you have an emergency fund, you have less emergencies.
Mm.
And at first you're like, what? But when you actually have it and something happens, like, we had to replace half the AC.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't it was in the middle of summer, but that can be an emergency because we live in Texas. And it's pretty freaking hot. But it wasn't an emergency anymore. Right?
It's just an inconvenience.
Yeah, it was 100% what it was. It's like, oh, well, you got to spend this money, but, the house is comforted and he's fine, we're fine. It wasn't an emergency, but if we didn't have it, it would have felt like an emergency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why that emergency is also, it ties back into mental peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it all ties back into each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, and also, like, when it comes to money, think about if you're sick, now you got to spend money. Now you're worried about the money. You're worried about your sickness. They're all tied together. No matter how you try to separate them, you can't. It's all one. You're one multidimensional human being. Investing. So the Bible talks about investing as well. It even talks about the parable. Where the master gives the servants money, 3 of them, 2 of them go invest it, 1 of them doesn't. Master comes back, gets mad at the one that doesn't invest it, and tells him that he's going to throw him where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. So the Bible tells us we need to be investing. So if you're not investing right now, look into it. If you're following the baby steps, they tell you first have your emergency fund, first pay off all debt, and then, invest. So there's that. And then also pay off the house. And once you do, you have no bills except, like...
You have no debt. You're
no
always going to...
debt. Yeah, you're always going to
Unfortunately,
have
in
bills.
America, you're always going to have bills.
Yeah, you still have to pay the water, the lights, and all that. But imagine, like, what your money would
Home
look
tax.
like. Huh? Yeah. But imagine what it would look like if you didn't owe anything, if you, like, not even a house. Everything was paid off. So all your income is just going to, I guess, utilities. And then you get to do whatever you want with the rest of it.
Yeah, you're going to have your fixed expenses, and then you get to make your own decisions about your money instead of having to pay somebody else on debts and interest. I like the way he says it is because, like, when he talks about it, and there's a realism to it, and there's also a part to where it's not, you can't take it, you have to take it with a grain of salt, right? And Ramsey talks about, he's like, imagine you're at maybe step 7, which you never have to leave your work because that's your greatest source of financial wealth is your income. But you're at work, and he's like, your boss is being a butthead, because we're on your podcast, a butthead again. Yeah, see, he doesn't like it either. He's being a butthead again, and you have no bills, and he's sitting there yelling at people, and you just turn around and start walking off, and he's like, where are you going? You tell him, I got no bills. And you're like, what? It's because a lot of people stay at their job because they need to pay the stuff off. So if you didn't have that, would you stay at that job, or would you actually take a chance on yourself and do a different job? So that's why it's important to work your way that way.
Yeah, and that's so important too, because, and I think I touched on it on the last episode, but I was in a job that I didn't love, and I felt like I couldn't actually go do the thing that I really wanted to do, because I was like, I have a mortgage I have to pay, I have bills I have to pay, I have a car I have to pay. So that'll also keep you, from your, doing the thing that God is calling you to do. So manage your finances wisely. That's huge.
Yeah, even those experiences that you don't do because you have the debt. If you didn't have that, how many experiences would your family have?
Yeah.
Yeah, how many memories? We're only here for, an average is what, like 75 years, so it's 75 summers. If your kid is enrolled in school, after 5 years old, you're talking about maybe 70 summers, but you're not, at whatever age you're at versus, you know what I mean? So how many more experiences would you take them on?
Yeah, absolutely. So how about traveling? So now we have the environmental dimension.
This isn't planned. It's just smooth.
It's fun because they're tied together. That's why. So are you going outside? Are you getting sunlight? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you in a toxic environment? I once saw a thing that said, like, staying in the toxic environment is like, what was it about the dirty laundry? I guess, like, taking it off the dirty clothes and then putting it back on. No, that's not even a good one. It was something along those lines. Like, basically, you're not really doing anything. Oh, it's like taking a shower and then putting on your dirty clothes again. That's what it was. So you could do all the inner work, but at the end of the day...
Some of y'all probably did that.
I hope not. At the end of the day, your surroundings are very, very important. They say that you are the 5 people that you surround yourself with. As much as you say, I'm different, or this or that, the people around you... I'll answer this here in a little bit. The people around you are going to influence you. No matter how much you say they don't, they do. Whoever you surround yourself with, that's who you become like. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Is there anything else you want to add to that?
No, I mean, we've heard it the whole time, and if you don't think that's true, then you've probably been influenced already.
Yeah. Yeah, and going outside, getting sunlight, that's, there's a lot of scientific studies out there that show how they improve your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health. So there's that. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add to that.
Just about getting outdoors. Yeah, I mean, if you're feeling, we'll go back all the way to the beginning. If you're feeling anxious or any type of way, try going for a hike. And if you're not even a hiking person, if you're near the Austin area, there's Barton's Creek that we went to. You take a hike through that, and then you go to the water. Dude, if you're still stressed out after that and you're hanging out in the creek and everybody's just having a good time, you could literally sit under that little waterfall part and pray. If you're still stressed out, even when doing that, pray a lot and leave it on Him. Pray while you're there, because that place is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's super peaceful.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people will tell you that they feel closer to God out in nature.
Because it's His creation.
It's His creation.
You're not distracted by your screen. When we go to the ranch, and there's no service.
So peaceful.
A lot of the times I'm out there working, but it's so peaceful. I'm out doing outdoor work, and I was cutting the grass last time. I ran out of gas because I was just cutting all the grass, and it was peaceful.
Yeah. Whenever we went to Italy, when we were up in the mountains, that felt like a peace that I can't even describe.
Except for when I was driving.
Yeah, except for that part.
Yeah, but no, 100%.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I need to read more about the studies to explain it better. But I don't even know the studies, but just by the way I feel, I know.
Yeah.
How good being out in nature is for you.
Yeah.
For all your dimensions. Even your financial, it's free. Get out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think we covered it all.
Yeah.
Oh, why did you decide you wanted to do this?
Oh. Well, because I saw the effect that it had on myself, and I was like, I see so many people out there struggling with different things, and I'm like, if you would just sit down and take inventory of your dimensions, and obviously, maybe you'll be like, oh, I took inventory, this is where I need help. Well, now I need to go get help. Go and get the help. So the things that I've been doing, the things that I've been teaching, I was like, I can help people. So why not? When it comes to the physical dimension, I am a nutrition coach. I've done, I don't want to say like I've done like the bodybuilding, like the competitions, because that's not even healthy. But I have done it, yeah. So I have an understanding of the physical. When it comes to your mental, I am a certified mental health coach. When it comes to the emotional, I'm also certified to give premarital counseling. When it comes to the, what's next?
In Christian counseling, right?
Biblical counseling. Yeah, I'm certified in that as well. When it comes to vocational, I feel like, I have a master's in industrial organizational psychology.
It's on the wall if you don't believe her.
When it comes to financial, I'm now working on a certification to be a financial coach. Why am I getting all these certifications? I don't know, because I see how all these dimensions really affect our lives. And I see a lot of people being told, oh, you need to do this, when in reality, I'm like, oh, if you would have just looked at all the 7 of them and aligned them with what God says, that could have been handled a whole lot better. Or you could be living a better life. And I'm not promising perfection. As human beings, we're not perfect. Our lives are never going to be perfect. But when you do get, that little, stuck, and you're like, well, hold on, what's happening? You know what to do. You have all the tools. And that's what I tell people. That's what counseling is. You're given tools. It's not meant to, fix your life. It's not a magic thing that just happens. You're just given tools. And when you're in a certain situation and you know how to use the tools, you can build the house. You can build the whatever it is that needs to, using the tool analogy. But
okay, 2 parts.
Yes.
First part, if I'm assuming it's all women that watch it. I know there's some guys, but most of the women. If you ever done DIY and you're with a screwdriver and then your husband brings you a drill, you're like, oh my goodness, this is so much easier, because you needed the right tool. If you're a guy and you've ever been doing some homework, do not lean forward, son. Lean back. If you didn't have the right tool, and then you get the right tool, you're like, this would have been so much easier things would have been so much easier if I had this all about. So that's.
I love that analogy.
So that's one thing.
That's perfect. Yeah.
2 part. Do you feel like you were doing all this because you're becoming the person you felt you needed when you were younger?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing when it comes to purpose, they tell you, who do you wish, looking back, who would have been your hero? And not that I'm trying to be anyone's hero, not at all. But a younger
You're his hero
me,
and mine.
Huh?
You're Miguel's hero and mine.
So sweet. A younger me, if what I know now, if I knew that back then, I would have done things so differently. And I'm not saying I wish I could go back in time, because everything that happens to us is meant for a reason and it's meant for good. But if you're out there and there's certain things that you don't know yet, nobody has taught you, you haven't come across it. Because it's like, yeah, we have information online, we have Chat GPT now, like you can ask it whatever you want. But sometimes people don't know what to ask. And sometimes, again, they're not being honest with themselves. Sometimes they don't realize that, hey, I need help with this. Um, so, yeah, absolutely. If I feel like if I would have had all this information, I could have done better. So that's what I want to do for people. I'm like, hey, if you don't want this information, if you don't have this information, let me give you the tools. Let me share this with you. And then it's up to you whether you build a house or not, but at least you have the tools and you know what to do.
Yeah. It's, even if you learn all this, or if you're learning these things, or if you're not doing it for yourself, do it for the people around you. Because everything you've learned, as much as you're helping people that get to work with you, you've helped us in our relationship as well. But I feel like he gets the best parent to help him understand and regulate things. As much as I think I'll do my big part, I know no matter what, he's good because he's got you, because of all the things you've learned and the way. Just what I mean, obviously, every dad should feel that way with a mother, but just with you understanding the seven dimensions so much more, he'll be able to grow up and have emotional intelligence and understanding, healthy understandings of what he needs and intelligence with emotions, physical, mental, everything. And that's going to take both of us, and we're both on that, on the same journey. But yeah. So if you're learning all this and you're like, oh, I'm okay. What do your kids need? What do the people around you need? So if you don't do it for yourself, do it for them.
Yeah, that's huge because a lot of people won't do it for themselves, but they'll do it for their kids. And also community. Sometimes we know things, but again, we're surrounded by the wrong people, so we get influenced. Versus when we're in a community of like-minded women, like-minded people, we keep each other accountable. So I think that's huge, especially in this digital world. You can read all the things, you can have all the information, but you might be isolated, and that's not going to help you. That's when the devil attacks, when you're isolated. So community is huge. It's so, so important. And God doesn't call us to be isolated. He's not even isolated. He's the 3-in-1. He has the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son, and angels up there with him. And so we're called to live in community. So if you are wondering where you are, if there is a dimension that you need help with, to go ahead and take the assessment. I made an assessment. Let me know what your thoughts are on it, what your results were, if you want to share them with me. Also, I am starting the coaching program, but I just don't know when yet because, again, new mom. So obviously, my baby is my priority. God, my husband, and my baby are my priority. So once I have that figured out, then we'll start doing the coaching because I want to show up as my best self. I don't want to be flaky or, just not be able to be there present or give you guys the best of me, basically is what I'm saying. So don't know when that's starting, but I do have a wait list. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up for the wait list. And if this episode was helpful, if you enjoyed it, give it a like. Make sure to share it with someone who you think might need to hear it. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.